The art director's debrief, Wuthering Heights Deconstructed, Anatomy of a Cruel Trap. Hello and welcome back to the Emotive archive. We left young Cathy Linton entangled in a web of secret correspondence, her compassion for her frail cousin Linton being masterfully exploited by Heathcliff. In the chapters we will deconstruct today, 25, 26, and 27, that web tightens into an inescapable trap. This is the dark heart of Heathcliff's multi-generational revenge plot, a sequence of events so cruel and so calculated that it solidifies his status as one of literature's most formidable villains. Today, we will anatomize the final, brutal steps of his plan, the luring of the prey, the springing of the trap, and the tragic checkmate that will leave him master of all he surveys. The section begins by establishing the two ticking clocks that are driving the narrative towards its tragic conclusion. The first is the failing health of Edgar Linton. He is dying, his life's only remaining purpose to ensure the happiness and security of his beloved daughter Cathy. The second is the equally failing health of Linton Heathcliff. He is a pathetic, whining creature, but he is also the legal key to Heathcliff's entire plan. Heathcliff knows that if Edgar dies before Linton has married Cathy, his plan to unite the two estates under his control will fail. This creates a desperate race against time, a morbid and twisted version of a courtship, where the goal is not a happy union, but a swift and legally binding one before both fathers die. Heathcliff's manipulation of Cathy in these chapters is a masterclass in psychological cruelty. He no longer bothers with feigned kindness. He uses Linton's genuine suffering as a tool of emotional blackmail. He knows that Cathy, with her inherited Linton compassion, cannot bear to see another creature suffer, especially one she has come to care for. He orchestrates a final, fateful meeting on the moors, a place that symbolizes both freedom and danger for Cathy. Linton, acting under his father's terrified command, lures Cathy and Nellie towards Wuthering Heights. Cathy, despite her deep misgivings and her promise to her dying father, cannot resist the plea of the seemingly dying Linton. Her compassion is her fatal flaw, the very virtue that Heathcliff so skillfully weaponizes against her. The moment they enter the doors of Wuthering Heights, the trap is sprung. Heathcliff, his performance over, reveals his true monstrous nature. He bolts the door, making them prisoners. The house is no longer just a grim farmhouse, it is a literal prison. The scene that follows is one of pure Gothic terror. Cathy's spirited defiance is met with Heathcliff's brutal physical violence. He strikes her, a shocking act that demonstrates the absolute depths of his degradation. He is no longer just a cruel man, he is a monster, a tyrant in his own desolate kingdom. The contrast between her spirited rebellion and his cold, overwhelming force is terrifying. The subsequent imprisonment is a study in psychological torment. Cathy is not just physically trapped, she is emotionally and psychologically besieged. Heathcliff's goal is to break her will, to force her into a marriage with his son. He separates her from Nellie, her last remaining ally. He uses Linton's own terror and self-pity as a weapon against her. Linton, in his weakness, becomes a second jailer, pleading with her to consent to the marriage to save himself from his father's wrath. Cathy is utterly alone, trapped in a house of horrors, with her own father dying just a few miles away. Her desperate attempts to escape are all thwarted. She is a bird in a cage, her spirit slowly being crushed by the relentless cruelty of her captor. The forced, miserable wedding ceremony is not a union, but a violation, the legal and symbolical culmination of Heathcliff's long and patient revenge. The trap is complete. The queen has been captured, and the checkmate is now inevitable. Now that we have anatomized the brutal mechanics of Heathcliff's trap, let us elevate our analysis. This section of the novel is not just about cruelty. It is a profound and terrifying exploration of the themes of property, legacy, and the perversion of love into a tool of economic and legal warfare. Heathcliff is not just a monster. He is a dark, twisted version of a capitalist mastermind, and his revenge is a hostile takeover of a rival corporation. Let us deconstruct the legal and economic framework of his plan. In the 19th century, the law of inheritance, particularly for the landed gentry, was paramount. Property was tied to name, to lineage, to blood. A woman, upon marriage, often saw her own property and rights subsumed by her husband's. Heathcliff, the ultimate outsider, the boy with no name and no property, understands this system better than anyone. He has been its victim, and he now seeks to become its master. His entire plan hinges on a brilliant and perverse manipulation of the very laws of inheritance that excluded him. By forcing a marriage between his son, Linton, who is the heir to Wuthering Heights through his mother Isabella, and Cathy, who is the heir to Thrushcross Grange, he is creating a single legal entity that will control both estates. And since he knows his son is dying, he also knows that Linton's death will make Cathy a widow. But the property, through various legal means he likely arranged, would ultimately revert to him. He is not just destroying his enemies, he is legally and systematically absorbing their assets. This transforms the characters into something more than just people. They become assets on a balance sheet. Cathy is not a woman to be loved. She is a title deed, a controlling share in the Linton enterprise. Linton is not a son. He is a legal instrument, a temporary placeholder whose only function is to facilitate the merger before he is discarded. It is a chillingly modern and cynical view of human relationships, a world where love is a fiction and legal contracts are the only reality. The love letters that Cathy and Linton exchanged, which seem so romantic, are revealed to be nothing more than the preliminary negotiations in a brutal business deal. From an artistic perspective, Wuthering Heights itself becomes a symbol of this dark, predatory form of capitalism. It is the black hole of the novel, a center of gravity that slowly and relentlessly pulls all the wealth and life from the bright, civilized world of Thrushcross Grange and consumes it. The Grange, with its elegance and refinement, represents an older, more genteel form of aristocratic wealth. The Heights, under Heathcliff, represents a new, more brutal, and more dynamic form of capital, one that is not based on ancient lineage, but on raw, ruthless ambition and strategic acquisition. The story becomes an allegory for a changing England, a world where the old, landed aristocracy was being challenged by the new, aggressive energy of the Industrial Revolution. Heathcliff is the ultimate self-made man, but he has made himself not through invention or industry, but through the systematic destruction and absorption of his rivals. Finally, let us analyze the act of violence Heathcliff commits against Cathy. His striking of her is a shocking and pivotal moment. It is the moment he crosses the final line, the moment he becomes physically, not just psychologically, monstrous. But what does it signify? It is the ultimate expression of his rage against the ghost of the first Catherine. In Cathy, he sees not just Edgar Linton's daughter, but a reflection of the woman he loved and lost. But she is a reflection that he can finally control. His violence against her is a twisted, posthumous act of dominance over the woman whose spirit he could never truly possess. He could not stop the first Catherine from choosing the civilized world of the Lintons, but he can physically force her daughter into the prison of the Heights. It is a desperate, pathetic, and ultimately tragic attempt to correct the past by brutalizing the present. He has won his war.
He has conquered his enemies. He has seized their property. But as we will see in the final chapters, he has inherited nothing but an empire of dust and ashes, and a loneliness more profound than ever before. Thank you for joining me in the Emotive Archive.